Alright, welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time hanging out with us here at 656 Sports and Things. Make sure to hit that like button, give it the thumbs up, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it's a great way to keep in touch with everything I'm doing. It's come out yesterday, actually, that the Ontario Hockey League, the OHL, is looking to resume the season in February, from what I remember hearing. But the thing is, they're looking to not to have body checking. It's a bit of an issue there. How do you play hockey without body checking? Yes, you can play hockey without body checking. But it's a fast, physical sport. People get hit. It happens. Now, this is done by the Ontario government. So I understand from a point of view of someone who doesn't play. Body check, it always looks bad if someone gets hit really hard and gets taken out of the game. That looks bad. Just how do you do it? And, usually when you check someone, you're not face to face, you're leaning into it, and you get up and you go. So if you can't do body checking, do you take out face-offs? There's really no way to have a face-off without being, within 6 feet of each other. So how do you do those? And face-off's a very important part of the game. Say you go on a scoring drive and the goaltender freezes the puck. How do you not have a face-off then? A face-off in that zone is very important for both the attacking and defensive team. How do you not have a face-off there to gain control of the puck? You just give it to the attacking team? You give it to the defending team? How do you play hockey without face-offs? I know you can. Floor hockey doesn't have a lot of face-offs, but how? And if you don't have body checking is a skill. Body checking itself is a skill. You have to learn how to throw a hit. You have to learn how to give a hit. And let's just hypothetically say you draft a player out of the OHL. You're an NHL team and you want to develop this guy. Well, by the CBA, if they're under 21, you have to send them back to junior. But do you send them over to Europe then? Do you send them to the ECHL if there's an ECHL season? Or an AHL team if there's an AHL season? What exactly do you do? Because not everyone do you just take the year off? If you take out body checking, do you make players stay more than 6 feet apart? How do you play hockey if you're not 6 feet apart? How do you defend that? If you're a defensive defenseman whose big part of their game is checking and hitting, how do you develop if you're not willing to do body checks? Yes, I understand the government wanting to take those big open ice hits out of the game. Or if you're a parent who doesn't understand hockey and watching hockey and those hits, they can look pretty violent. I understand from a parental standpoint that would be an issue looking in. But how do you take hitting out of the game? Right now in the U.S., teams are playing college football, and football is more face-to-face hitting than anything else because you're up to each other. But you can't have football without hitting. You can't really have hockey without hitting. It's a pretty big part of the game. I don't watch a lot of hockey or things, but it does happen. Players go really fast on the ice. It's a really fast physical game. How do you do that without hockey? There's going to be contact. It's going to happen. There's no way to have hockey without some kind of contact. This is the nature of the game. So what do you do if you're the OHL? And if there is an OHL season and it gets to the Memorial Cup, well, wouldn't it give the Quebec Major Junior League teams and the WHL teams major advantage if they're hitting? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Maybe that's just me, but what do you do? And can you play a game without face-offs? And if you're not having body checking, are you allowed to be 6 feet with each other? So if you're not allowed to stay 6 feet from each other, how are you going to be on the bench? I don't know what people think benches are. Benches are small. They're not long things, and stay 6 feet from each other at start. I understand wanting to keep everyone healthy and stuff. But if you're going to take body checking out of hockey, that makes it harder for your players to develop. Because they make pro, they're going to be hit. It's going to happen. It's how do you take a puck battle then? Usually in puck battles, you take the body. And all that fun jazz. Do you not have, I know the NHL doesn't want holding and grabbing, but how do you hold a guy against the boards to try to get his puck, to win a puck battle? How does it even work? You didn't send those players over to Europe and have them play there? So at least in Europe you can body check. Or do you send that 17-year-old or 16-year-old who's probably not develop enough to play against grown men, do you send that guy down to the East Coast League, playing against guys who are in their 30s? And then, because they play in a pro league, you then have to pay them. Let's say the Leafs draft some kid out of the Oshawa Generals, or they have a draft pick who they were going to send to Oshawa this year to play for the Generals, but because they're not, and he's a big, brute, physical defenseman, his big part of his game is hitting, and there's no hitting right now, so where do you send him then? Do you go, oh, okay, well, the ECHL is playing, we'll send him down to Newfoundland, we'll send him down to the Growlers. Now, because he's in the Growlers, he hasn't earned a paycheck, because now he's a pro. And because he's a defenseman, it could end up taking the Growlers' fourth-line defenseman out of job, which is even harder because right now there's 2 ECHL teams that aren't working. There's Norfolk and Atlanta that aren't playing this year. So does that affect their jobs and their livelihood? Just something to think of. And if you're a big, brutal defenseman, checking's a part of your game. It's going to happen. It's a fast game. People are going to run into each other. It's going to happen. And I understand you want to be safe and you want to make sure things are done, but without body checking, it really hurts hockey. Anyway, if you these are just my thoughts on it. I just don't understand how it works without checking. I understand without fighting, yeah, that makes sense. But if you want to stop checking, then get everyone a big fishbowl helmet, the full face shield, and then we're back on it. You do it for a year. See what happens. That's probably the safest way, especially with kids. All the kids in the OHL, they all live with billeted families. So, how you develop players, you're not checking each other. It's a part of the game as much as scoring. It'd be like if the NBA said, yeah, we're not going to have free throws this year. If you get fouled, you gotta, nothing happens, you just get the possession of the ball back, we're not taking free throws. It'd be like that. Anyway, let me know what you think down below. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. This is just my 2 cents. You all have a great day, and thank you for checking out the channel. Bye.